There's a cloud of smog covering the earth, and it's causing a health crisis. If you go to work every day, it's possible that you've been affected. So let's take a look. Can you relate to any of these things? When you think about facing your day ahead, do you feel the blues bubbling up in your body? Do you feel a sense of stress and pressure and anxiety? Maybe you can relate to something like this. I can't take this job anymore! But yet, you get yourself up out of that little ball and you go in anyway. Just thinking about it. Just thinking about it makes me reach for a cigarette. If you can relate to this, then you have been affected. Ladies and gentlemen, work is not working. This cigarette, it's like workplace stress. It's addictive and it kills. Dr. Jeff Pfeffer, he's a professor of business at Stanford University. He's been observing the phenomenon of how workplace stress is causing deadly illnesses because people go home after a hard day's work and they turn to harmful things like cigarette smoking. He's written a book about the phenomenon, and his book is called Dying for a Paycheck. And it's not just the West. In Japan, they have a word for this. It's called karoshi, which literally means working to death. Why is this happening? Management consultant Dr. Nadia Chechenbayevaya tells us in her book that only 60 of the companies that were on the Fortune 500 list in 1955 are still in business today. She explains in her book, which is actually called The Titanic Syndrome, that companies sink when the people at the helm become overconfident in their own track records. This creates a blind spot because they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing for their agendas to go through because they've always worked in the past. So in this blind spot, they miss the opportunity to reinvent the workplace. Those people at the top, they're striving so hard for the money and the status and the power that comes with the territory, and they know that they can't do it without you. They can't do it without you. So they push you harder and harder and harder. But no matter how hard you work, you go home at the end of the day and you feel you're just not enough. That's incredibly stressful. But here's the oddest thing. You let them. You do it anyway. Why do you do that? It's because you're addicted. You're addicted to the idea that if you work hard enough, you will get some of that money and that status and that power. But work can and should be wonderful. In 1943, Dr. Abraham Maslow gave us the answer, but nobody was listening. He gave us the hierarchy of needs, and there's only 5 things that human beings need to thrive. The first thing is physical safety. That one's obvious. The second thing is security. So yes, we need to feel secure in our livelihoods, but that's where we get hooked. We think there's nothing else that we need to thrive other than that paycheck, but there is more. So let's look beyond the smoke and see what else is out there. In the third position, we have belonging. We need a sense of real connection to the other human beings at work. Number 4 is self-esteem. We need to feel the respect and the appreciation and the pride that comes from a job well done. And number 5, we need to feel self-actualized. We need a purpose beyond the paycheck. We need to know why our vision is causing the world to be a better place. And we need a mission for how we're going to live our purpose every day and how we're going to make our vision a reality. So maybe in 1955, nobody was listening. Those executives missed the point. But you're here now, and you know. We need to shift the mindset, and we need to reinvent the workplace. And we do that by looking at it this way. For companies to thrive, people must thrive. Tomorrow is a brand new work day. Go out there, quit that addiction, and reinvent your job.